Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some accessories I purchased for this awesome camera that I recently purchased, which is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. It records internal ProRes and internal Blackmagic RAW, and it's fabulous. It's got a lovely 5-inch screen. Everything about this camera is really good, and I'm loving the results. The handling is great, but it does need certain accessories to get the best out of it. These accessories are not critical, but they're certainly useful to own. And also, some of these accessories you can use with other cameras that you may already own, or you might want to purchase in the future. So it's not an investment specific to the 4K, but some of the stuff is, and I'm going to go through what this is. Now, first of all, power. We all know that many videos that we've all watched on YouTube, but the batteries that it takes is the LPE6, the Canon LPE6 battery. And it's in this particular camera, it's not the best. They last for about, in ProRes, about 35-40 minutes. So you're not going to get a massive amount of recording time. So you either need to buy additional, LPE6 batteries and keep swapping them over. Now, the danger with that is that if you're recording a long event, you can't do that because you have to stop the camera, swap the batteries out. So not an ideal, in fact, it's a hopeless situation to be in, isn't it? So that isn't something that I would recommend. I have got 3 or 4 LPE6 batteries. They're ideal if you want to travel light and you're getting like B-roll shots and cutaway shots. But if you're recording interviews, you don't want the power to run out on you right in the middle of an interview. So there's various answers to that. Now, I went the route of getting a VLock battery, and the one that I purchased was the Core SWX Edge, Power Edge. This is a phenomenal battery, actually. I got it from Wex Photographic. It's about 260 quid. It's got the standard VLock mount on the back, so you can mount it to any VLock accessory. I've got here a VLock mounting plate. You just bolt this to a tripod leg, a lighting stand, even a table you can mount it to, and then that will just slot straight on there. Oops, he says it's difficult to do upside down, but there you go. That mounts on there like that, and is great. Also, this particular battery has got a screw thread in the base, so you can actually put it on a tripod, and then it's got a quick release plate on the top to put the camera on. It's a shame, actually, that this quick release plate isn't a standard Arca Swiss plate. I really wish they had done that. These are specific to this particular battery. So if you lose a plate, you're a bit stuffed, really. You can buy additional ones. I would have liked it to have been a conventional Arca Swiss or Manfrotto plate, but there you go. You can't have it always. And it's a great battery. It's got on the front here the output, so you've got your standard DTap output, which is what I use. 2 USB ports, which is great for powering your mobile phone, and another DTap port that supplies data as well. I'm not quite sure what the benefit of that is. And then on the top front here, you've got your LED displays, LCD displays, so it tells you the remaining battery life. That's 1 hour 57 minutes. But that will depend on what you're powering, so that may well go down or up. And I've actually used it for my lights, because the great thing with a VLock battery, obviously you can use it for powering lights, but if you get a VLock battery, you will need a DTap cable to go into the camera. I actually purchased one. I don't know where it is. I purchased this from Amazon. They're not dear. Oh, that's not it, is it? Don't know where it is. It's here somewhere. But you will need a DTap. I don't know where it's gone. You will need a DTap cable that goes into the mains power port on the camera, and that's just on the side here. You will need one of those just to go into that port. Where are we? That port there. If you can see where my finger is, probably not, but that port there. You will need one of those, or you can use it. It comes with a dummy battery. You can use this little dummy battery that to power it, and then that goes into that goes into the camera, obviously, then that goes into the battery. So, you know, various ways of powering it. But using something like that is phenomenal, because obviously that gives you 2 to 3 hours runtime without worrying about constantly having to swap the batteries out. And that's not a particularly expensive way of doing it. Another option would be to buy, and I'll put a link in the description below, in the comment section, or in the description below, so you can actually see where to get these items from. But another really cost-effective way, if you happen to have loads of these batteries knocking around, which virtually all of us do, don't we? I don't know if I can get one out. These Sony batteries knocking about, this size or the smaller ones, you can get one of these little adapters like this. They're 50 odd quid. Standard adapter that takes 2 of the Sony batteries, and that has got DTap out on it. So it's got USB as well out, USB out as well as DTap. But that again is brilliant, because if you just put the batteries in here, I've got 2 of these, so that goes in there like that. This is made, well, it's not made as, it's branded as Sokani. There's lots of these about actually under different brands. And then you've got a battery indicator there that tells you how good a battery strength. That's an alternative to using a VLock battery, and it's a cheap alternative. I'm actually running my light on the back here with 2 Sony batteries, using another one of these adapters going out to a light. So that's you know, power sorted, whether you're using Sony MPF batteries or whether you're using a VLock battery. Now, you're going to need lenses, but the great thing with, again, this particular camera, it's got the micro four thirds mount. So again, lenses, piece of cake to get for this. So it's got the micro four thirds mount inside there. I got fitted to it my lovely Panasonic 12 to 35 lens that's fitted to it. That's an f2 constant f2.8 12 to 35. But you can get all sorts of lenses. You can get adapters to adapt Canon EF lenses. There you go, that's the Lumix 12 to 35. And another lens I use quite often is the Panasonic 25mm, which is equivalent to 50mm. So I use this 50mm because it's so light. There's no weight to this whatsoever. If I can get the lens set off, there's no weight to that whatsoever. It's a really compact. I still call it 50mm, 25mm, it's equivalent to 50mm, and that's a great little optic, and that isn't particularly expensive. That works really well with the Blackmagic 4K. So you will need a couple of lenses. I would probably recommend the Panasonic 12 to 35 because it's got a constant f2.8 aperture, a very convenient range. That's a 24 to 70, very compact. And then probably get its brother, which is the 35 to 100, constant f2.8, which is basically 70 to 200. They're both really compact lenses. They're not incredibly expensive. That's a great thing with micro four thirds. They're not expensive lenses, and they've both got in lens stabilization. I almost said in body, but in lens stabilization. Now, another thing you might want to get, again, these aren't critical. Lenses are critical, batteries are critical, but this is a grip which is specific to this particular camera. This is made by Small Rig. You may want to get something like a cage, not a grip, a cage, to put the camera in. And the reason why you might want to use a cage is because you can build it up with all sorts of accessories. You can put a top handle on, you can put a mounting bracket on, you can put the SSD, which I'm going to come to in a moment, the SSD bracket on. I'm not sure where that is. I've got so many bits all over the desk here. But you may well find a cage incredibly useful. Now, I do use the cage in the studio, but I tend to use, when I'm out and about, I've got fitted to it a small rig again, a Small Rig shoe, cold shoe, and that just screws straight into the top of the camera, because the camera doesn't have a cold shoe built into it. It's designed to screw in whatever accessories you want to use. And as I say, I fitted to it my Small Rig little cold shoe on the top there, so I can put me you know, me monitors on, microphone, whatever I want to do if I'm out and about. But if I want to be in the studio and I need a microphone and I need a monitor, whatever, then obviously that's not going to be practical. So you'd want to put it, you know, in a cage as opposed to just using the cold shoe that I've got on it at the moment. So that's another accessory. Small rig accessories are really good value. They're not incredibly expensive. But of course, this all adds up, doesn't it? But as I say, some of these accessories can be used across other brands and other pieces of kit. Now, another thing that is going to be crucial, really, is a monitor. Now, the monitor on the back of the camera is absolutely great. It's touchscreen, it's 5 inches. It's a really, really nice monitor, and it does a really lovely job. You've got tap to focus, so many things that this monitor can do. You can bring up your menus, your audio menus, you know, so on and so forth. But what it lacks, it doesn't tilt. And that is as frustrating as, well, it really is frustrating. You know, if you're out filming, you really aren't going to want to film everything at eye level. You absolutely are definitely not going to want to do that. So it's going to be crucial to get an external monitor. Now, again, there's all sorts of external monitors available on the market, from the really cheap to the really expensive. And I've gone middle of the road. So I would say get, you know, something like I've got here. Now, the Andy Cine monitors are fabulous value for money. They really are. This is a touchscreen one. This is the A6 Plus. Touchscreen, fabulous value for money. And it's always been, for the last 2 or 3 years, my favourite monitor to use in the studio and to some extent outdoors. It takes the standard Sony batteries, but it also takes the Canon LPE6 batteries, which is again awesome. Touchscreen, you can see there. You can bring the menus up by touching it, slide up like that, and the menus come up. You've got certain presets along the bottom there, and you can change those presets to what you want. It's a 5-inch monitor, it's very light, and it's great. It's really, really good. HDMI in on the side, in and out on the side there. Great little monitor with lots of settings and what have you. Now, there is a review on my channel of the Andy A6 monitor, so you might want to take a look at that. So that is a great budget option, but the only downside I have found with it, using it with a Blackmagic, is it's not very good in daylight. It's about 450 nits of brightness in bright sunshine. I found it almost to the extent of pretty hopeless. So you may want to buy the Atomos Shinobi. The Shinobi's a much brighter image than what the Andy Cine A6 Plus monitor is. That's around about 400 nits of brightness in daylight. The Shinobi is 1,000 nits of brightness in daylight, so it's about 2.5 times more brighter. And it really is. I mean, I have noticed a big difference using these two monitors, and it's great on the. I mean, you can't see that too well on here because turn the exposure down a bit. See that a bit better. And it's great. I've got a small rig bracket to mount it on. Now, the battery I'm using at the moment is just far too big for this monitor, but it's charged. I've got a charge in it. And this monitor's all touchscreen. You can do all sorts of things with it that you can't do with the Andy 6 monitor. Although the Andy A6 does have false colour, does have waveforms, etc., etc., focus peaking, and all the RGB parade, all the things you would want. But this has as well. So it's just a different way of working. A touchscreen menu. Just works really, really nice. You've got your audio indications at the top there. Just a really, really nice piece of kit. It works very similar, in fact, pretty much identical to the Atomos Ninja 5 or Ninja V. Apart from that, it doesn't record where the Ninja V does. So that's made it a much lighter monitor. Also, it's a plastic surround as opposed to, you know, metal construction. So that creates, you know, a much lighter monitor. And for me, that is great, you know. So I can walk around, you know, quite happily with that without causing any fatigue, you know. It isn't a particularly heavy beast to walk around with. It's made a bit heavy with that particular battery on, but a much smaller battery and you're well away, you know. So that would be another, I would say, essential investment, because you know, you might want to have a monitor pointing towards you if you're working by yourself. You might want to be able to angle it downwards, angle it like that. You know, it can just do so much more than the monitor on the back of the screens, on the back of the camera. So essential purchase, I would say, is a monitor. So that's another thing. Let me just power that all down. We don't need that on. Let me take that off for now. Give us a bit of working room here. So that's another investment that you need. Now, microphones is another thing. Obviously, you're not going to go out and produce, certainly if you're doing interviews or anything that is audio critical. If you're getting B-roll shots, then microphones are not essential. But if you are, you know, do want to get interviews, which obviously this camera is great for, there's one of two ways. You can either use the 3.5mm jack mic input on the side there, which is, you know, which is fine, and it's got a headphone jack as well, so that's also fine and dandy. So you've got a 3.5mm mic jack on the side there. That's great for lavalier microphones, wireless microphones such as the Rode Wireless Go, the Hollyland Lark 150s, which I'm using here, Saramonic microphones, whatever, you know, there's many of them. But likewise, you might want to use, and most people would recommend this, you might want to use something like a Pro microphone, a Pro XLR microphone, something like maybe the, let's put this down, dear oh dear, something like the Sennheiser MKE 600. You know, there's the Rode NTG ones. Again, there's many of these sort of short shotgun microphones. You might want to use something like that. I use this microphone a lot. It's a regular piece of kit, not a microphone I would ever want to sell, but that's XLR input and it requires phantom power. Now, you can put a battery in here, but you know, we don't recommend that. I recommend you take the power from the camera. So you would need a proper XLR, there we go, XLR to the XLR connection that goes into the camera, because the Blackmagic has got a mini XLR connection, which is what that is, and that will then just slot straight into the side of the camera. You've got, there we go, on the bottom there, you've got these flaps. I hate these flaps. You've got XLR input on the bottom of the camera there, and that just goes straight into it. The camera can supply phantom power. There's on the menu, you just turn phantom power on and away you go. Brilliant. Again, the microphone investment will work with other kit, which is great, but obviously the cable, about 20 quid, 25 quid, is specific to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. So that's another thing that you're very likely you will need to get. Now, another thing will be possibly external recording. Now, the great thing, again, there's so many great things about the Blackmagic. You can record out via the USB-C port. On the side of the camera, there's a USB-C port there. So you can record out of that, and you can go straight into an SSD drive. And I record onto my, I've got a Samsung T5 drive. Now, I've got the adapter, the little bracket that fits on the cage, you know, and it works great. And you can get up to like 3 hours of recording on it. It's phenomenal. So that's almost certainly another worthwhile investment. But again, the great thing with that, it's not specific to the Blackmagic 4K. So if you do change systems, you can use that SSD drive, even if you use it on your computer for editing. You know, it's not just specific to the Blackmagic 4K. So there we go. That's just a few accessories that I think are critical. Some are critical, such as the monitors, and some accessories that I find are really useful for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K camera. I've probably missed certain accessories, but battery supplies such as these very cheap VLock adapters, or you know, proper VLock battery, they all come in really, you know, really handy. Again, all of those accessories you can use with other kit. So, you know, Love it. It's really good. So there we go. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you find the content of this video useful. Really appreciate that. Helps me grow the channel, helps me, you know, immensely. So thanks very much indeed. Enjoy the channel, enjoy the videos, and stay tuned for more videos relating to video and photography. Cheers for now. Bye.